Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here, and welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Battle Chronicle video. And today we are going to be updating the tier lists, and we're going to be adding the brand new Ottarl and the brand new Freya along with the scene cards that dropped with them. And of course, this is going to be the last tier list we do before major changes happen in the game. Of course, if you guys don't already know, be sure to check out yesterday's video where I go over the major update that's coming out later this week on the 21st of November. We're going to be seeing adjustments to the speed and support role, so this tier list is going to change massively. Along with that, we do know that there is a brand new Asfi and Ryu coming out next week as well. So of course, there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to not only just the tier list, but also the addition of those two brand new units. So of course, if you guys going to enjoy this video still, remember to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel so you guys get notified and you can see that video when it drops, of course, when we do get that major update. And of course, let me know in the comments section down below right now, where would you guys place Otaro and Freya along with the brand new scene cards? Would you guys place them, you know, S or SS? Potentially, or do you guys think that maybe people are overrating them or underrating them and you'd place them in a different tier potentially? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say down below. But yes, hopefully you guys stick around for this video to see what I think about Otaro and Freya along with the scene cards. And along with that, we will be checking out the Japanese tier list. Once again, we will be checking out their website and seeing where they've ranked Freya, Otaro, and the scene cards as well. But yes, I do expect this tier list to change quite drastically, especially the speed and support role units like Summer Lily, Halloween Ryu, Haruhime, and so on and so forth will probably see boosts instead of, you know, potentially being an S tier. You could see Summer Lily and Halloween Ryu potentially touching a double S if they get solid enough boosts. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's too early to judge. We don't know exactly what the changes are going to look like. So for now, the changes to the tier list and what I'm going to do to the tier list right now is only going to primarily consist of adding Otaro, Freya, and the scene cards most likely. I don't think I want to make any changes to the adventure side, potentially, to be quite honest. I think I'll still keep Cassandra in S tier. A part of me is really wanting to push her down a little bit, but I think I'll still keep her in S tier. And then the rest of these units, I think, will stay in S tier for now. Otaro is going to probably join these units in S tier. I think there is a very good chance that we could see him go down a tier. Maybe not go down a tier, that's a bit harsh to say, because I don't think it's going to be that drastic of a change. But come the Christmas banner, of course, we know that the fire units are going to get their time to shine very, very soon. Surely they have to, right? They're the only units without a brand new unit, you know, in the game, right? We've had two events, you know, concerning wind units. We've had Eyes and Haruhime's release, and now we have Otaro, Freya, and then of course Asfi and Ryu coming out, and they've been green units. We've had yellow units with the Halloween event. We've had the blue and purple units with the summer event, part 1 and part 2, of course, right? So we know red units are going to be coming out very, very soon, fire units, and they will be stronger than Otaro. But I still believe Otaro is really strong, in all honesty. He has one of the highest, if not the highest HP pool in the game. His ability to have knockback resistance and the ability to just knock back on like 3 of his skills basically is ridiculous. His basic attack, on the 3rd attack, you can knock back with it. I've tested it out in PvE contents. You can do that with certain enemies, which is really good. His 2nd skill can knock back as well. And then of course we know his special move for sure can knock back, which can be super useful depending on the game mode you're running in. And of course, we know that there is an auto battle PvE game mode coming very, very soon, right? And so if that PvE game mode does, you know, obviously deal with potentially enemies coming at you at a very often rate, and it's auto battle, of course, using a knockbacker like Otaro can be pretty darn useful, because that'll give you a little bit of time to, you know, get your shields up and everything, and of course get your restoration up and everything. It would be really solid. So I think Otaro is going to be an S tier for me. I've been going up against him in Magic Stone Scramble as well, and I've been using him in Magic Stone Scramble as well a little bit, and I feel like he's a very versatile unit as well, because one of the things that I feel like people aren't really considering is that he already has such a high HP pool, right? you could also not only just build him defensively, which I know a lot of people initially are probably just going to go defensive build, but you can also build him offensively as well. He's a really good option offensively, surprisingly. The multipliers, and if you can get his stats up high enough, of course, through scene cards and of course battle items, you can get him to hit relatively hard. He's not going to hit as hard as some of these DPS units are, right? You're not going to see him pull off Eyes numbers or Tiona numbers or Bell numbers, but he is going to hold his own and deal a decent amount of damage, which in a spot of bother potentially, or you know, if you're running into the risk of potentially not being able to kill a person when their HP is a very minute amount and you're stuck into your tank, well, Otaro is going to be able to kill that individual because you build them in such a manner where Otaro is going to be able to pull off that damage depending on what moves you have available to him. Another thing that goes into that favor as well, and to his favor regarding the damage and everything, is that his range on his skills are very solid. One of the complaints I had with Cassandra was her range was atrocious. I did not like Cassandra's range at all, and it was one of the reasons why I personally did not like using her, even though I believed her to be relatively strong. I think Ottarl is very powerful in that regards. He's got good range, he's got a decent amount of damage, he's got a good amount of effects as well. I think overall, you know, compared to what I initially thought about him, I thought initially he was going to be like Gareth, where, you know, he might have been an A rank unit, he would have been solid, but nothing crazy. I feel like he's a solid S tier unit for sure though now, 100%. A lot of people have actually been complaining about this a little bit, not only in just my Discord, but in my live streams as well and everything, right? Is one, their decision to make Otaro a tank, which I believe, I mean, it was pretty obvious that they were going to, because we didn't have a wind tank unit, and they seem very you know, dedicated to trying to, you know, flesh out the classes, at least for all the elements. Well, I say that they didn't do that for you know, they didn't do that for Earth. They did speed, which we needed, to be fair. We didn't have a speed unit, but they didn't drop an Earth support unit, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But you know, I think they're trying to flesh out the categories and stuff, so it made sense that Otaro was going to be a tank. And second of all, I mean, Otaro as a tank can make sense as well. I mean, he is the strongest character in the game, so of course he's going to be able to tank very well. But also, along with all of that, right, I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, you know, he's the strongest character in the game, you know, lore-wise. Why isn't he the strongest, period, in terms of the gacha units? And to that question, I would say, look at so many other gacha games where certain characters that aren't, you know, strong in their own right, depending on how you look at it, they're meta characters because of their kit, right? They're not strong lore-wise, but they're meta characters in terms of their kit. I mean, even if you look at Danmachi Battle Chronicle beforehand, look at Finn, for example, or Reveria, level 6 adventurers, and deadass they're in B and C. Like, come on, let's be serious here. The gacha games aren't meant to base themselves on lore necessarily, you know. I mean, look at Danmachi Memoria Freese as well. For the longest period of time, until of course the 6th anniversary, arguably the best hero festa in the game was, well, one, Belle and Elise. Elise is a level 3 adventurer. Like, come on. How does that make any sense? You know what I mean? So for me personally, I don't think it matters on who's strong lore-wise. All that matters is how you build their kit. That's about it, basically. And I mean, Otaro's kit is still very, very solid. I mean, if he was a DPS unit, we could probably argue that he could have easily gone into double S depending on how they built his kit, but we'll never know. We will never know. For me, I will say that, no, though, at this point in time, he is S tier. Alright, let's move on swiftly to the assist side. We'll leave the scene cards for last. Let's swiftly move over to the assist side. Now, Freya, for me, okay, so first things first, I want to make 2 changes, actually, to the assist side. So first and foremost, we'll push Hermes up to A tier. I'm gonna put Hestia up to S tier. I'm gonna drop Chigusa down to A tier. Now, the reason why I want to drop Chigusa down to A tier is a couple of reasons. One, I don't like her range anymore, to be quite honest. Initially, I was like, you know, you can let it slide, you know, you have options and everything. But I think, you know, dropping her down to A tier makes sense to me personally, because I just think her range is pretty bad. In all honesty, I've noticed it when I've been doing event ranking on Magic Stone Scramble. It is a pain in the arse to get used to it. I feel like the other, you know, damage dealing assists like Lily, Lafia, Loki are way better. And of course, along with that, Freya will join Hestia in the S tier because one, let's talk about Hestia. Hestia's damage, damage buff is really strong. Very, very strong. I know some people, questioned why I didn't put her up there, and I was deliberating on it for a very long time. That's why she was at the head of A tier. I think giving a universal damage boost is probably super significant compared to like a very straightforward like boost to STR or magic, or specifically water damage, right? It makes them very, very linear, not linear, but very one-dimensional. Whereas Hestia, the original one, the fire one, is able to support every element, no matter what typing they are or anything. It super, super nice. I think that's a fair point to make. I don't know where I would place Freya in this list, to be quite honest, but I think Freya will definitely be in S tier for sure. In terms of like, I didn't know where to place her in the S tier, but she's S tier for sure, because a lot of people may believe that, oh, her attack multiplier is low and all this and all that. You don't realize how good that assist skill is. She can attack. Yes, the multiplier is low, but she can attack. She does deal damage. She's able to heal you, which is really good if you're in Magic Stone Scramble. That last second heal, always super, super nice, right? She reduces earth damage, which, I mean, if you are a Tiona user, sorry, not Tiona. I mean, if you are a Tiona user as well, you can use it technically. But if you're a Tiona user, really helpful, of course, right? Being able to reduce earth damage. Yellow units are effectively nullified because of Freya in a way. And then on top of all of that, she has crowd control as well. She can pull enemies closer to you as well, which makes it a even better option in my personal opinion. Super strong, super viable option. I think Freya is a very, very, very good assist. In all honesty, the basic answer to Freya is that, and the simplest answer to Freya, and the best way to explain what Freya is that she is a way better Hermes, basically. Hermes, I've rated very decently. I would say he's B or A always. I'm pushing him up to A because a lot of people have clamored for him to be A. So, you know what? I'll put him in A for you guys. But Freya, I mean, yeah, she's a league apart, honestly. So good. And of course, her passives are really good if you're running tank units or more defensive units, right? You're running, if you're, your Tiones or something, you've got damage reduction, stamina boost, and stuff like that. Really solid. Very, very solid. So for me, I think S tier is, where she belongs. A lot of people have also said that I've got too many units in S tier for assists, and I see what you mean by that, but this is the problem with assists in Danmachi games, to be quite honest. Danmimo had the same exact problem, where these assist abilities are so strong for a very long time. Assists are hard to power creep because their increments are very minute compared to adventures. Adventurers, you'll see grow leaps and bounds, and you'll see probably units like Cassandra. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about it at the start of the video. It was pushing Cassandra down, and I mean, depending on what happens in the next month, potentially she may go down. But I feel like for the adventurer side, there is always an opportunity for units to jump down a tier. Like, potentially, if Asfi is going to be speed, right? Very good chance Ryu might not even be in B tier purely because Asfi is a way better option for that speed roll, right? And you'll see that happen over time. Whereas assists, their differences are so minor, wherein maybe like, for example, this Lafia has a 450% attack multiplier on her kit, and she's got crit rate and crit damage on her passive skill. She doesn't have crit damage, she has crit rate, right, in her passive skill. Well, the next Lafia assist that is the same concept as this one may have 500% attack multiplier and maybe crit rate and a little bit of crit damage in her passive skill. Sort of like a blend of this Lafia and Seer, in a way, not entirely, but sort of, right? And I would probably say that this Lafia is still a very good option purely because the differences isn't that huge, right? A 50% boost to the damage as well as that extra bit of crit damage now is good, but is it significant enough in game? Probably not, right? It's not going to be too significant unless, of course, the game modes evolve to be like that, which, of course, in Danmimo, it never really did that towards the end of its life cycle in a way, right? Where right now, of course, you're still using Hero Festa units and the 5th anniversary units, and to great effect, to be honest, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Danmachi Battle Chronicle evolves its assists, but right now, the assists are just great all-arounders. And, you know, I think that's going to be the case in the near future as well, when we do get units coming out sooner rather than later. I think Chigusa going down to A is a perfect example of that, because Freya's come in, and, you know, it's kind of shown me that Chigusa is okay. She doesn't have the range, her damage is decent, but like that's all she's got going for, in my personal opinion. And I think that's an example of like, oh, maybe there'll be future units that'll come in, and you know, maybe Seer might go down or something like that. We'll have to wait and see, of course. We'll have to wait and see. But there you guys go. That's my assist tier list update for you guys. Now, scene card time, baby. Scene card time. So let's start with the free-to-play one. So first and foremost, I'm gonna put the earth damage one into S tier. I think it's a very solid free, you know, scene card that you can easily get. The stats are really, really good. I'm gonna push it up to S tier, I think, for sure. Outside of that, I'm gonna keep everything else as is. I don't think I'm gonna adjust anything in the scene card tier list. Let's go on to the free-to-play ones. Now, the one that we have here, right, I'm gonna put an A+, because this scene card is very interesting. So it's category focused. A lot of these are actually category focused, which is very interesting. So the one that I just put up in A+ is the free-to-play one that you get from the event, and it effectively gives defense role units or tank units an extra bit of strength, which again, it goes in line with what I was saying about Ottarl earlier on, where I feel like Ottarl can benefit from damage boosting scene cards and battle items, because that'll just make him a stronger attacker rather than just simply a tank. And I feel like that scene card can help so many other units in the future as well, who are tank units and can be damage dealers as well. So I have to give it A+. It's one of the better free-to-play scene cards that we can get from the event, right? Of course, Sea Angler was another one that was really good, of course, right? Of course, this was from login, this is from the event shop. Now we move on to the gacha scene cards. I want to start off with Asvi's scene card, and I have to put it in like one of the top tiers, because this is another category specific scene card. It is for wind attribute units, where if you have a wind attribute character equipped with this scene card, they get an extra, at MLB of course, 50% special move damage, which is crazy good. I think that makes this scene card one of the best, if not the best scene card in the game for, of course, wind units specifically. Now, that does kind of bring it down a little bit, because unlike the other scene cards like Hell Chaos and of course Sister Attack, which are 40% special move damage, but they are universal, I think that's the big difference. So while Asvi's scene card is stronger, it is very specific to wind attribute units. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, this is another thing that I'm curious on as to how they're gonna do this in the future. I would prefer more universal scene cards, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get more stuff like this, basically. The next scene card we're gonna take a look at is let's look at this one. If I recall correctly, this one is the stamina one. I think I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this here. It's, again, if I'm not mistaken, for wind attribute characters. I think all three scene cards are for wind attribute characters, right? And while I do like the idea of increasing stamina, I think stamina increase for Otaro especially is something that you don't necessarily need. And I feel like, again, it's the same thing with other tank units. I prefer something else entirely, to be quite honest. I prefer something else completely. So for me personally, I think that this is a scene card that I would personally probably just put in B tier, as it is just a general stamina increase, and I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. And again, it's too specific. Even though Asvi's was specific, and I know I spoke about the poison scene cards previously as well, and how I put them in B tier, of course, right? All of them nearly. I mean, it's the same. I have to put the Asvi one up there, because it actually is super nice, and I feel like it's a lot more common to be able to just have a wind attribute character than be able to poison enemies. You know what I mean? This, it requires you to poison enemies, whereas this is just, oh, have a wind character equipped with the scene card, right? Which is a lot easier to achieve, in my personal opinion. Now, this one is a very interesting one. So this scene card is when you're under 50% HP, you get 30% damage reduction, and this is at MLB, of course. Once again, it's another unfortunately HP restricted scene card. However, I will be putting it in B tier. And the reason why I'm putting it in B tier and not in C tier and D tier as I have with the other HP restricted scene cards is because this is a actually legitimately achievable scene card. And the reason why it is that the way it works, right? The way it is stated, it is when HP is 50% or less, which first and foremost, way easier restriction. 100% way easier restriction. I'm sorry, but like putting it at a 80% or higher or 30% or lower restriction is ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. But along with that, it grants a damage decrease of 30% to own unit, activations one time. Now, I didn't initially process it well enough, but the reason why it says activations once only is because once it activates, it's there forever, even if you go above 50% HP. So for me, that makes it so much more better. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if I feel like, you know, in the future, it might go even up to A. And honestly, I'm going to put it in A. 30% damage reduction at MLB, of course, at minimum level, which is zero limit breaks. It's at 15% damage reduction, which is still good. 50% HP or less is not hard to achieve. And I mean, not gonna lie, if you have Freya or any other healing assist, right, or healing battle item like Haruhime's Lunch, you're sorted. Go under 50% HP, heal that HP back up, boom. You've got free damage reduction for the rest of the fight. I think that's a win-win, baby. That's a win-win. And that's why I prefer to the C and D tier scene cards, to be quite honest. I just don't like them. I feel like they're too restrictive. One over 80% HP, the other over under 30% HP. And it's only activated when they're in that range. So it just makes it even worse. So for me personally, not a big fan of it. Anyways, let's go over the JP tier lists and see where they've ranked everything. So first and foremost, we're going to start off with the scene cards just to get it out of the way. The stamina one, they've ranked at A tier, which is very interesting. Of course, I've given it B tier, but it's only a rank difference. I'm not too, annoyed with this one. I think it makes a lot of sense. So absolutely fine. They can, I would say they prefer the idea of these HP boosting scene cards more than we do maybe in the West. So absolutely fair. Then we have the Asfi one, which they have gone for S tier as well here, which is very, very nice. Limited to wind attributes, but the damage dealt by special moves is greatly increased. So again, they're addressing that fact that, it is limited to only the wind type units, but it's still very strong. And yeah, that is in line with what I've also done as well. S tier for Asfi. Makes sense. Absolutely fair. Next up, the rating of the God of Beauty's Wrath. So this one is the damage reduction one, of course, right? The one that activates when HP is below 50%, which is, again, very, very, very nice. So absolutely spot on with the A tier, I feel. Again, we put it in there as well. So agree with that. And then finally, the free-to-play one is in A tier as well. So you can see that they've rated it approximately the same as mine. I've kind of rated the free-to-play one a bit higher at A+. The HP one, they've rated a bit higher, but otherwise, outside of that, it's been identical. So we kind of agree with the scene cards. Now, the real question is, where are Ottarl and Freya on their tier list? So let's start off with Ottarl and see where he positions himself. Double S. Okay, now one thing to remember about this website, right, is that they rate a lot of characters at double S. They rate a lot of characters at double S, as you will see by this link right now. So Otaro, double S, they say top class durability for all characters, can be given fall knockback resistance and shield status abnormality resistance. So yeah, they're talking about how good of a tank he is basically by giving shields and of course the knockback resistance. And yeah, this is their double S. Gareth, Tione, Eyes, Lily Ruka, Summer Lily that is, Ryu from Halloween, and Otaro. So yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't put any of these outside of Eyes and double S because I feel like double S is supposed to be, Eyes is just a tier above everybody else right now. It's very obvious that that is the case, right? And even Gareth, I feel, is a little bit too high even because of Eyes, right? I feel like, Eyes is just there dominating Garrett's left, right, and center, right? So it doesn't make sense for him to be that high up. But yeah, I mean, that's just how they're rocking, and they want to do that, so absolutely fair. Summer Lily and Ryu, I understand Ryu because, of course, of the recent event ranking. You know, she was so dominant, so I guess that's probably why they adjusted it to SS rank. I think she's just, in general as well, really solid. But we'll have to see after the major update as to whether or not they deserve to actually be in SS potentially. Because even I might have to push them up, depending on how good the buffs are, of course, right? We'll have to wait and see on that front. Freya is up next, and I think Freya they're gonna put in S tier, because if I recall correctly, this website only puts one unit in double S, and we'll see which unit is that is in just a second. But yes, put her in S. General purpose assist that can attack and recover and apply debuffs. Again, this is the specific point that I love that they've made here, that I absolutely agree with, and the reason why I put her in S tier as well. She's very general purpose. She's so universal. I think that makes her a very valuable option, in all honesty. And yeah, she's got passes for physical strength, damage reduction, so HP, damage reduction, and strength, of course, right? Now, let's take a look at the strongest assist, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that, because I'm pretty sure they put, yeah, Hestia in SS. So yeah, that's their only SS assist, which is, I mean, hey, listen, fair enough. You know what? It is fair. Arguably one of the more, again, Hestia is very similar to Freya in that very good general purpose assist. 40% damage boost universally is so solid. Now, one more thing I would like to mention that I forgot to mention in at the start of the video as well, along with the major update to, of course, Halloween, you know, speed units and support units, not Halloween units specifically, but speed and support units, right? Is that they mentioned in the update contents that Miak was going to be getting a buff as well, or not necessarily a buff. They just said adjustment of assist Miak's skills. Now, Miak is a very interesting unit because we've both, the JP website and myself, rated him low. They've put him in the lowest tier that they have available, A tier. I've put him in B tier, right? He's an HP recovery assist, right? As you can see right here. The amount of recovery is relatively high. Although its buff performance on attacks is generally low, it also has a passive skill that increases HP recovery. So it can be said to be an assist that can support people's support adventurers' survival. So yeah, I mean, he has the ability to recover HP. He gives 15% more HP recovery as well through his passive, 22.5% more HP, and 15% magic, basically, right? Very good assist already, I would say, generally speaking. Obviously not a brilliant assist or god tier assist, but a very good assist nonetheless, right? I wonder what they're gonna do to him. It's gonna be very interesting to see what changes they make, because who knows what they'll do, right? They might make him really good, they might make him okay. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That is the tier list for this week. Of course, we will be updating it next week once again, once we get the new Ryu and Asfi, of course, released. Remember that Asfi is most likely the adventure and Ryu is the assist, so we'll have to see what they cook up with those two characters. And then of course we will be doing a lot of videos and stuff when it comes to the update, because we have a new game mode, new buffs to deal with, and so on and so forth. It's gonna be crazy. Also, streams will be coming back very soon. I am feeling a little bit better, not 100% still, but I am feeling a bit better, so maybe streams will start from tomorrow. We'll see. But until then, hopefully you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.